Support for Donnybrook Last Call is provided in part by Design Air Heating and Cooling.
Thank you for joining us. I think we buried the lead because our big story is that Bill McClellan has become a grandfather again.
Woo,
We have a new viewer. Sawyer McClellan has entered the world.
That's right. Hanging out in Austin, Texas. And now my granddaughter Rosie is suddenly Rosie in the middle.
Nice.
So I have two grandkids here, Evie and Tino. They'll be at Donnie Bash.
Of course.
And 3 in Austin. Jackie, Rosie, and Sawyer.
Sawyer's not flying in for Donnie Bash?
Well, I don't know, Sawyer. The picture I saw of him, a day old, and he looks like he's ready to talk.
Oh, there you go. Wonder where he got that.
Well,
That's awesome.
Sarah, I want to ask you about KDHX. This is crazy because the station has had labor and management problems for 2 or so years. We've talked about them quite a bit. You've chronicled them at St. Louis Mag. Well, here's the deal. The station management, which claims to be just about in bankruptcy, has said they've found a buyer for KDHX, the not-for-profit. And it's a Christian firm that has about 300 radio stations. And KDHX will sign off, take millions of dollars in, pay off the creditors, and the station will then be Christian. And then online, I guess KDHX will be something online for people to listen to.
Probably be a music streaming service. It feels like this is just the biggest insult to the critics of the leadership there. Like if they couldn't have thought of anything they could do that would insult them more than to sell it to a Christian pop station. I was on a call with the bankruptcy attorney. They are in bankruptcy right now.
Yes.
And the bankruptcy attorney said, hey, part of this is we have to prioritize the creditors, the people that we owe money to. That's the rules on this. And he said if we hadn't acted fast to do what we were doing, we would have lost this license, which is our most valuable asset. Instead, we're going to use it to pay off our debts, pay off this giant place in Grand Center. It's so sad. There's going to be people that are going to try to interfere with this buyer that's come forward with $4.3 million, extra $500,000 if the deal goes fast. They're going to try to stop this and block it. I don't know that they have a chance, but we'll see what they have up their sleeve.
Sarah, if you talk to the bankruptcy lawyer, what about this, like $270,000 to some Ozark building firm? Or,
that I cannot answer, Bill, but you know what? I'll try to get you an answer.
And some PR firm is getting $79,000. Whoever did PR for this outfit committed malpractice.
Yeah. Well, that's actually Allison Hawk. She's a lovely person, and she has worked with some difficult clients. Her previous client was Kim Gardner. But she is genuinely a lovely person.
Yeah,
but she wasn't a miracle worker.
No, and I've learned, I've been told that there are at least 2 other entities that had at least, approached management about buying it.
Buying this,
and we're just eschewed,
And it doesn't seem like it's like just the most bitter divorce, where exactly you want this, I'll show you. Right. I'm going to do this instead, and that's always tragic, especially when you have people in the community who are really invested in this little radio station.
Well, all the old hippies who had started it, so many of them told me, when they're feuding with this Gary Pearson and Joan Bray and Kim Wells.
Kelly Wells.
Said to me, if they can't win, they're going to blow it up. And I thought, well, that's a bit of an exaggeration. But they are.
They have.
They're blowing it up.
It could have been avoided. The good news, I think, is that, and people will dispute this, people are moving online for their entertainment and information. They listen to their phones, they listen to their computers. Terrestrial radio has been fantastic, but it's a little bit still more powerful, I suppose, in listenership than online. But,
Charlie, I'm not going to argue with you on that, but they fired all their DJs. So they're going to do this online streaming thing probably, but they're going to have to start from scratch. They lost the institutional knowledge of these great music lovers. A lot did, but they literally fired every last one a couple months back.
Not good. It could have worked it out. Alvin, I want to ask you about Dr. Fred Postello, who is the president of St. Louis University for another couple of months. I believe he leaves July 1st. Well, on Wednesday, he had scheduled an apology on behalf of the university to the descendants of the enslaved who had built the university in the 1830s and 1850s. And then when he found out that the descendants did not want to show up, apparently he canceled the apology. Did he cancel it or postpone it?
I think it's just been postponed for now. There was a disagreement over, I think, some of the wording, and I guess an organization was mentioned in the apology as working with the descendants, and they didn't like that. And it just fell apart like at the last minute. So I don't know that it's over. I want to say a reporter, Namratha Prasad, hustled down there, and that's really right on our deadline, Wednesday afternoon. She turned around a story really quick, and like I said, like you leave going like, hey, go get, cover the apology for, using slave labor. And you come back and say like, no apology, it fell apart. And no one was angry, but there was just this sense of disappointment.
So there's now going to be an apology about the apology?
Yes.
We're really sorry about the apology. I don't know. I'm anxious to read your story.
Well, in the initial, go ahead.
No, you. Yeah.
Well, the initial headline on STL today, it was like right after Pride Fest, and I said to my husband, who was in bed next to me, I said, I have never seen a political, just a wave that seems to be wiping out everything, but it turns out that headline was also correct.
They walked that headline back. They said that the apology was canceled, and I thought, SLU, what are you doing?
And literally after.
They've now changed it to postponed. So I respect the reporter on that story, but I think postponed is the more accurate headline. I'm glad the American went with it.
There's nothing worse than writing a story and then having a headline kind of be misleading.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to be very delicate here,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden there's a headline slamming it.
We said on hold.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Bill McClellan, you work for Lee Enterprises, and there is a story in your paper, actually, that the Hoffman family, which had thought but then withdrew their plans to turn Washington and Augusta, Missouri into the next Napa Valley, they might be your boss someday. But now the board of directors, I think at your paper, Lee Enterprises, are taking a poison pill to try and prevent that. Do you want to work for the people who also own Oberweis Dairy?
I love Oberweis Dairy. I do. I mean, I think their eggnog is the best. And I would be happy to work for the Hoffmans. I'm happy to work for Lee Enterprise. At least Lee Enterprise is a newspaper company. I mean, what we want to avoid doing is selling to a hedge fund. But while I give Lee credit for trying to make the newspapers work, I would love to see a deep-pocketed person with local roots come in and buy the thing and put some money into it. I don't know if that's possible.
And that's what Mr. Hoffman said they want to do. He said they want to really deepen the stake in terms of local journalism. I know that we've all heard these types of things before, but when I heard Napa Valley, I thought Bill will be the editor of the Napa Valley Times for Lee Enterprises. How perfect would that be?
Pulitzer Prize owned the Napa Valley paper.
Yeah, they bought it.
I just think Hoffman does not have that much credibility in this town at this point. They made a lot of promises out in Augusta. They chopped down a lot of trees. They messed things up for a lot of local businesses, and now they seem like they're saying, oh, well, maybe we won't do those plans after all. I don't see anything they're saying that to me is like a genius plan to make the Post-Dispatch better. I think we should be a little bit worried about this buyer.
I thought some of the things in terms of the wine country that they're still saying they're on hold. Is that right?
They're saying that. They're saying that.
Well,
Sarah,
but 13-hole golf course or something, which always sounded odd to me. But I'm rooting hard that the Hoffmans.
I want to ask Sarah, I want to ask you about, I know your family was planning to move out to Chesterfield, but those plans changed Monday night when fights broke up the GlorRilla concert at the factory, and GlorRilla had to cancel her concert.
Yes, it's so dangerous out there in Chesterfield. I'm honestly worried about the future of this region because people cannot be safe in that community.
You are unbelievable. You are unbelievable. First of all, the concert, and I know this is going to surprise a lot of people. It's been a minute since this girl has been to a concert. I mean, I usually go to the Steely Dan. My husband and I go to the Steely Dan reunion tour with the Doobie Brothers, But I think this has to do with the artist, because 2 weeks ago, and of course, her listeners and her fans, because 2 weeks ago in Atlanta, there was a similar melee. Now, I don't know enough about the factory. Is it general admission? Because that is going to set off tempers, I think. I know that you just think it's you were blaming Chesterfield.
The lady
right?
doth protest too much.
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah,
It
we are.
made the news that TMZ, the Daily Mail, where else did I see it? Two other, People Magazine. It was a national story that your neighborhood was busted up.
Well, you know what? Maybe it'll add. Maybe it'll add to the legend of Chesterfield.
Give you a little street.
Yeah, give us a little street
I will
cred.
say this. It was apparently from the video I saw, it was how can we say, multi-racial,
Multicultural.
There were,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like it was kind of like people of the same race fighting each other.
I heard
Right.
it was two little white girls.
It was.
Who were,
That- there was-
who were fighting.
Very Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
Chesterfield.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully there'll be no similar fights at Donny Bash May the 8th. But we hope
never
you join
know.
us. Go to our website, get details. We'll see you next week.